There's always been a tough discussion between GitHub Copilot or Cursor. Which one should you use for a AI code generation tool? Now, somebody on Reddit was saying Cursor works absolutely fine when you have a larger code base. Somebody on Hacker News was saying, why would you pay $20 when GitHub Copilot can do the same job at the half of the price? Somebody on Twitter was saying Copilot is slowing down or downgrading its model between the sessions. So we took the leap and did a comparison. I kind of compared both the tools head to head, use the same repo, asked them to do similar set of job, use the same model as well, 4.5 Sonnet, and asked them to do the same bunch of job for using both the tools. In this video, we will see how both of the tool works when it comes to AI code generation. Let's dive deep into the video. All right, so I've got a single repo. It's a content management platform built on React. So what I've done is I've got the cursor, which is this one. I have made sure that I've used the agent. So what you can do is you can select the agent right from here. You can select the models as well. You can use the max mode as well. I'm not going to use it for this purpose. When you want really things at speed, you can use the max mode as well. So I've selected Claude 4.5 Sonnet, and I have got the GitHub Copilot open on my Visual Studio Code editor as well. I've selected the 4. Okay, it's in preview, by the way, 4.5 Sonnet. So right on the comparison, you see it's still in preview on GitHub Copilot. However, it's pretty much full general available in Cursor as well as the time of recording. So I'm going to select that. There's no max recording. I could max view option, which I could see over here. So it's 1x faster than the regular model. You've got the standard model and the premium model. It feels like Copilot works under the hood and make changes based on the engine it needs to run, based on the prompt it needs to run. So I've got the repo open, repo clones. So I've got the prompt with me. I'm going to paste that on to the GitHub Copilot. So what I'm saying is, you are my test engineer for a Next.js content hub with sprints and topics and all of that. I wanted to do it on a new branch, feature test sprint sync. So this is just a bunch of testing it's going to do using Playwright specs. And I'm not going to push it. I'm just going to ask it to generate a bunch of tests. So I'm going to hit enter and I'm going to run the same prompt on Copilot as well. So I have to enable the model for GitHub Copilot, and same I'm going to do right over here as well. So I'm going to hit enter and I'm going to create a new branch. All right, so the branch name would be sprint cursor. Okay, I'm not going to hit enter yet. I'm going to first, let's complete the GitHub Copilot. So it asks to check out it and it takes a couple of seconds. So far what I've noticed is GitHub Copilot is generally little slower compared to Cursor. I'm going to show the head-to-head comparison as well. I'm going to check it out as well, check out the branch. And then what it's going to do is it's going to start understanding the code base and then start suggesting the test for us. Okay, now it's adding the test ID to the sprint details and the component being received. While it's doing it, let's try to run it on Cursor as well. So I'm going to say, check out the branch first. All right, while it is still trying to create the new Spring Details page components, again, I'm not going to use the max model, so I'm going to switch to the auto mode because I've already consumed the max mode. As you can see, as I was talking about the speed, it's kind of GitHub Copilot is still kind of trying to understand how to generate code. On the comparison, Cursor has already generated the to-do list and made sure that it started to already generate some of the test cases and component needed for the test ID. While this guy over here still figuring out a lot of strategical decision is being made, and it's trying to add the components and trying to add the test IDs to the filter components. It is already done with the 2 tasks out of 10, which were started with checking out, of course, and analyzing, and then adding the test data attribute to the component, which was the third one. Seems like that's already been done. It's on to the second one, which is adding the test ID attribute to sprint and topic components. Let's look at what's happening on the GitHub Copilot. Generated a bunch of code based on the same file yet and trying to now add the test ID to the topic rows. Alright, so what I've tried to do is I've pulled in both the ID in front of me. On the right hand side, you've got the GitHub Copilot. On the left hand side, you've got cursor. If you look at over here, it's still generating a lot of code and already completed 5 out of 10. One thing I really don't like about Copilot is keep on asking about continue to iterate. Let me know if there is an option to kind of go full throttle and not ask for my opinions what to do and generate things at a lot faster speed. If you look at over here, it's trying to generate the test data to include all the function and exports need. Over here, it's already done with 6 of the 10 tasks, which is generating integration spec, and then it's going to be more about test campaign. What I've realized over the last few months testing both the tools is that if you're really building something real quick, whether you want to generate things at a way more faster speed and want somebody to generate code and like a senior engineer, more of an implementationer and not thinking a lot, you should, my recommendation is to go with Cursor, so that because at the initial phase of building a product, you're generating a lot of features, you're generating a lot of code initially and then less of tests, because until you get your product ready, don't want to test everything at beginning. So as you can see, Cursor is kind of done with more than 60% of the tasks. GitHub Copilot is still kind of figuring out a lot of things on your own. I'll let it complete, but in terms of speed, I think Cursor kind of wins. On the same note, I wanted to test that how effectively or how seamlessly GitHub Copilot integrates with GitHub in terms of creating issues and everything. So the next use case would be about that. All right. So the last test is still running, by the way. Cursor is almost complete, left with last 2 tasks, and Copilot is kind of still at the last leg. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna ask, since we are working on GitHub Copilot and I wanted to test how seamlessly it integrates with GitHub as well. So what I'm saying is that please, you connected to the GitHub repo. You've got 2 workflows. You've got bunch of workflows over here under .github, right? So you've got sprint details and bunch of. So what I want to do is I want you to analyze the GitHub history and not just the YAML file specifically. So basically, I want to test how many times the actions has run, a workflow has run, and how many times it has failed. So I'm gonna switch the branch as well. I'm gonna switch the branch, stash and checkout, and testing done. All right, so the branch is now changed to the main and I'm going to hit enter and now it's going to start. So I've got 51 actions almost run. Let's see how much it is this GitHub Copilot is able to calculate. So it's trying to run the list of last runs. Now it's asking for the run list. So still uses the CLI to calculate. There's no first class integration as such. Alright, so if you go to the same repo, open the same repo, it has got 53 workflows runs. Let's see what GitHub Copilot is trying to do. So it's trying to figure out that the run list, and it has set a limit of 50, so we won't be able to reach 53, which is the case right over here. So it's taking some time. It's still a couple of minutes already, down to a couple of minutes. Haven't done anything yet. All right, so it is fetched the information and some of the details. Now it is fetching the failure details. So what I'm going to do is I am going to copy the code base because we're not making any code changes, right? So I'm going to go back to the cursor. If you look at over here, it's just completed and given us a beautiful summary as well. So I've already switched to the main branch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just say the same prompt connected to GitHub repo. Give me the number of runs and all my CI/CD behavior. All right, so it's still getting the views, trying to get different runs from the GitHub action. All right, so it has pulled out detail from 8 to 11th of October. It is saying that there were 50 total runs. Actually, it is because it has limited, the GHCLI was limited to 50. So they're saying that there were 28 runs and 22 runs and pass rate was 0, which is absolutely true because none of the action was successful. As you can see over here, all of them got failed. That's what GitHub Action is saying and it's recommending. So there's not a lot of noise. That's what I like about GitHub Copilot. It says that this is what has passed, this is what has failed. Immediate action is fix the smoke test. There's not a lot of noise. And there's a detail list over here as well. Let's see what Copilot is doing. So Copilot also has given us the details. As you can see that it was quite fast. It has said it has straight away said, okay, let me search the GitHub action. It is saying that it has not given us a number compared to the GitHub Copilot. It has told us that there are test suite which is failing, averaging around 15-20 minutes. These are the workflow analysis, and these are the common dependencies. I'm absolutely not happy with what Cursor has given us. However, this is a beautiful, detailed analysis given by GitHub Copilot. I'm expecting this from Copilot as well because this is the first, I mean, that's the same from the same family. So it has told us that there were 15 runs between 8 to 11th October. These were the numbers of fails. Reason are fully broken. What is the reason? Absolute bang on comparison or analysis. However, Cursor has kind of failed over there. So that's it for this use case. Let's see another one. All right, from CI/CD analysis to pricing, let's see on in terms of pricing which one kind of works out for you. As you can see, we've got the Copilot pricing right over here. Start with 0, just like Cursor. Cursor also start with the hobby project, starts with 0. I'm using the Pro version, by the way, for both the tools. So I'm using a $20 per month pricing structure for Cursor. And on the same, if you were to compare the similar Pro version of Copilot, it's as half as $10. So there are a lot of discussion around Reddit and bunch of other places that would you pay double when GitHub Copilot can do the same job or the same providing the same functionality as half of it. It's not as true as it's been said on platform. I would let you try, but it looks like again the speed and first class integration and support with GitHub Copilot kind of rocks over there. However, if you really want to do stuff real quick, I've seen Cursor kind of winning at a lot of places, as you can see in the first scenario as well. So the Pro version starts with $10 and Pro Plus starts with 39, and that's pretty much it. They've got just 3 pricing structure, and the difference is kind of over here. On the Cursor, it start as high as $200 for Ultra, and they have right reason to ask for the money as well, because as you could see, there's max out option as well that works really aggressively. So if you're building something new, an MVP or a product, and you've got a very lean team, however, you rely a lot on, and you know what to do with Cursor. So that's where Cursor Pro Plus or the Ultra version is really helpful. They haven't got anything called Enterprise. However, they've got Ultra and Team, which is as high as $40 per user per month. However, similar is over here. Pro Plus is $39. It gives you RBAC and all of those features as well. And it is compatible with one of the comparison is that Copilot kind of works with your favorite code editor. So you don't have to change anything if you're already using IntelliJ or VS Code. However, with Cursor, you get a brand new ID. The look and feel is pretty much same because it's the forked version. However, you get to install one set tool or one set software again. So that was in terms of pricing. Copilot tells you that it is as half as pricing in terms of Cursor. However, Cursor has got way more offerings in terms of model and model flexibility and more power. So it's like running a manual car with 1000cc engine compared to the another one which is automated. However, the cost is real less. All right, last one in the list is running the server and making sure to build a new feature so that we see which one kind of works best in terms of speed and building new features as well. So what I'm doing is I am saying that add a new sprint inside tab to Content Hub, which helps you to analyze what type of content is working. So basically a brand new page, brand new features with set of features, so that can help us help PMs to let know what's happening inside a cycle. So that page doesn't exist yet. So I'm gonna ask it to create. First, I'm gonna ask Cursor to do that. Right now, it's running the server, so I'm gonna push it and I'm gonna say that please add this one. All right, so it has already started to. One thing I really like about Cursor is it keeps giving us the to-do list so that we know that which one to allow and which one to kind of reject. So starting with the analyzing the current structure, and then it will create the API, of course, and use the Spring Inside hook with React query and building bunch of other features. So it's creating the API route for Insights now. It's onto its first out of 8 tasks already even done. So it's pretty quick as I've already seen firsthand. If you know what to build, what feature to build over here, I know that we need to build an Insight tab, which kind of gives you monitoring of your content structure, what type of content you're creating, how many of them are in progress, how many blocks is being shipped this month, and all of those information. I might want to skip the comprehensive test to just to figure out that what are the features that it has built first. All right, now it is now creating the chart component. So 3 out of 8 tasks are already done. Now it is creating the velocity features when it's making changes to the sprint velocity. As you can side by side, you can open the code changes as well and keep visualizing what all change it's been doing. Now it's building the status distribution and KPI cards as well. All right, so it looks like it's now starting to add the test. What I'm gonna do is, I was asked to not to add any test, any unit or integration test. It has come up with an error as well, so I'm gonna copy it. I'm gonna give it to cursor as well and make sure that it is able to fix that as well. I've already ran the server, so now it's adding the right installer. So it looks like the package React day picker is missing. So this just about installing the right module. One thing you can already do is you can also allow a list of commands or processes which you don't want to manually ask cursor to install. So you can allow it every time, or you can just ask it so that it doesn't ask you every time it wants to install a new package if you're confident enough. Okay, as you can see that it is finished doing the changes, and it's saying that it's running on 3000 port. However, there were a bunch of other issues. I mean, UI is still not loading up. So it is now running on 3002 port. Let's see what's coming on 3002. Wondering why it changed from 3000 to 3002 port. All right, so the UI is now loaded up. I'm pretty happy with what it has done in like 5-7 minutes. There were a bunch of errors. There were a bunch of code changes as well. So it has built the author functionalities. It has built that how many sprints are completed, what are the total number of blogs, average velocity, and the cycle, and then publishing velocity as well, and the content performance as well. So I'm going to do a git restore now, and I'm going to do the same set of build the same set of features in GitHub Copilot as well. All right, now we're going to give the same task to GitHub Copilot as well. The page doesn't exist anymore. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Copilot to run and build the similar set of features around building the same insights page. All right, started to already understand the code structure. Hasn't started writing the code base yet. So what I really wanted to check is that how fast when it comes to building new features, especially you're at a very early stage of your product. So it's still checking that whether the page exists or not. By this time, if you remember, cursor kind of already started making the to-do list, what it needs to be doing and what all changes it needs. So it's still analyzing the existing API routes and seeing if something around this already exists. And again, it's still checking stuff, sprint inside or related type already exists or not. All right, I started to create the spin insights page as well. One thing I really don't like about this, it doesn't give us, when you're building a new set of features and there's a lot of features involved in a particular dashboard like this, it should have at least given us a to-do list or some sort of top level analysis that what is it's going to do. So that's one of the key feature or one of the highlights between both the tools beyond pricing as well. Now it's adding the sidebar navigation. Again, it's trying to analyze the potential fix the filter component might have. The UI component exists. Now it's checking the errors or any missing components. So another thing I like about the Copilot is it tries to do a lot of analysis on its own. So you don't have to tell that please fix this, fix that. It does those analysis. Like you had to tell cursor to fix and run things on port 3000. However, Copilot kind of does a good job at understanding the context even more better rather than you telling what to do in a smaller set of team. So now it's already identified that there are fixes around the calendar component, which it needs to do, and that's what it is doing at the moment. So what I'm going to say is no end-to-end test needed. Just build the UI. All right, so it's run compiling the build, missing scripts, missing tests. Keep asking me for the confirmation. That's one thing I really hate about Copilot. Let me know if there's an option to allow it automatically, just like we can do it in the cursor as well. If you like such video, don't forget to hit subscribe because we keep producing such comparison and AI code generation videos. All right, so it's running the build now. Let's see the build is successful. All right, that's what I mean by cursor is a little fast compared to running things. I know it ran into an error, but if you look, it's taking a lot of time to run just a build. Cursor compared to this, it's fairly quick. If you really know what to do what to get it done stuff from Cursor, it's blazingly fast. Alright, so we're down to almost 20 minutes now. It's still trying to pre-render and still trying to figuring out the issues. In light of the time, we're gonna stop the GitHub Copilot to generate any further code. But the idea was to just to give you a head-to-head comparison between Cursor and GitHub Copilot. While Cursor ran into an error, however, it was fairly quick in terms of generating the code base, in terms of generating the features really quick, while Cursor is still trying to figure out the error, still trying to rebuild stuff again and again. I hope this was informative. Go ahead and try on your system as well and let me know which one worked out best for you. So that was about GitHub Copilot versus Cursor, a head-to-head comparison. Now, if you want to take a deeper look at multiple scenarios, starting from pricing to a deeper level analysis, Kodo has written an end-to-end blog comparing both the tools head-to-head by an actual developers. Go take a look at it. Kodo gives you the flexibility wherein you not only promises you to generate code faster because it believes it's not about always about generating code faster. It's about making sure each and every line, depending on your tech stack or your favorite IDE, Kodo checks each and every line before your code actually hits production, takes a shift left approach, and makes sure it's continuously validating against team standard, governance, and your internal policies, making sure that there's less of noise because most of the complaints from the teams and the engineering team is about that coding assistant or code quality tools generate a lot of noise. Kodo kind of cuts that and makes sure it only provides you with the right set of features and suggestion which your engineering team cares about. Go check it out. And most of the features which we kind of tried, which we had to prompt, Kodo gives you out of box using the workflow features. So I hope this was informative for you. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.